Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, my go-to for building a website and online shop. Hello, my darlings. Welcome to part 3 of this oil painting series that ended up taking way longer than I had anticipated. If you'd like to see several hours of real-time tutorials where I recorded voiceover as I was working, along with hundreds of hours of exclusive content and monthly art rewards, feel free to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/happydartist. Okay, now that we've finished the underpainting in the last video, it's finally time to work on the main pass, aka the stage where I actually paint with the oils. In the last video, I tried out a non-toxic paint thinner from Sennelier Green for Oils, and I also talked about keeping your windows open for ventilation if you're using Gamsol at a home studio. And I just wanted to add something to that discussion. So in general, once you're past the underpainting stage, you actually don't need to use paint thinner on your painting at all. So during the entirety of the painting process that you're watching for this video, I never dipped my brush in paint thinner once while I was painting. I only used paint thinner to clean my brushes outside after I was already done painting. And I also dipped a paper towel in some Sennelier Green for Oil to wipe and clean my palette, again, only after I was done painting. So during the actual oil painting process, I only used medium, which is composed of oleoresin gel and linseed oil. And I would also use several brushes, usually one brush for dark colors, one for light colors of each varying brush size. And I would wipe those brushes on a paper towel if I needed to clean them between applications, just kind of dryly wiping them. No paint thinner needed. I don't need to actually rinse the brushes with paint thinner to get them clean. Having a little bit of your old paint on your brush can actually work pretty well because it integrates some of your old color into your new color, and it makes the entire painting feel more cohesive. You don't need a 100% clean brush in order to mix a new color. And if you just use enough new oil paint, it's enough to undo whatever tiny bit of old oil paint is left on your brush. And also, rinsing your brushes with paint thinner can sometimes work against you because it's nearly impossible to completely dry your brush off afterwards, and the paint thinner will mix and interact with your paint to make it more difficult for rendering. I'm mentioning all this because in my beginner years, I would have an open jar of Gamsol next to me at all times because I was always compulsively cleaning my brushes, even when it wasn't necessary. And not only was the open jar of Gamsol evaporating fumes into my studio, but I was also wasting so much Gamsol, and I was over thinning my paint without realizing it. So nowadays, I just use paint thinner for toning the panel, underpaintings, and cleaning my brushes and palette, whether it's Gamsol or some non-toxic brand. During the painting process, my jar of paint thinner is tightly closed, resulting in no fumes and less waste, though it's always a good idea to keep your space ventilated if possible, whether it's with an open window or a fan or a built-in vent, etc. Okay, let's talk about the painting now. I'm going for a brighter and more vivid color palette this time, as I've painted far too many brownish, earthy pieces lately. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but it's just refreshing to take a break every once in a while and lean into bubblegum pink and swimming pool aqua. It's been fun to render contemporary concepts using classical techniques, and color palette is a huge factor in making a piece feel more modern and new, because you rarely see classical paintings deviate from the earthy neutrals. You rarely see like bright bubblegum pink in classical paintings. So in some ways, combining those two worlds, classical technique, but with a modern color palette, just feels really fresh and exciting to me. I had originally wanted the background to be beige, as you can see, some parts that I haven't covered yet, but I decided later on to make it into a bright aqua color instead, after seeing how much the pink faded into the beige. So instead, the aqua makes the pink truly pop. I'm also trying out some different techniques to create interesting textures in the background so that it's not a perfectly smooth blank color. I'm purposefully creating a mess by scrubbing the paint on instead of blending it, using an old bristle brush, and also even using my palette knife to deposit and scrape the paint. These textures are subtle, but they help create this handmade feel to oil paintings that differentiates them from digital art. Also, it's nice to introduce some contrast to the smooth blended skin and hair of the subject with a more abstract textured environment. Sometimes I can get so caught up in trying to render everything smoothly and perfectly that I forget to play around and experiment with all the different fun tools at my disposal to create a painting that feels organic and full of character. And that about wraps up part 3 of this painting series. Stay tuned for the 4th and final part coming up next month. Thank you all so much for watching. And of course, you guessed it, my eternal never-ending sale is still going on in my shop, so if you'd like 20% off your order of prints and originals, just enter the code HOLIDAY at happyd-artist.com. And if you're interested in learning more about how to paint and draw, I have lots of art educational content on my Patreon page, including exclusive video tutorials, step-by-step photo tutorials, live streams, podcasts, and even surprise art gift boxes. All available at patreon.com/happydartist. I'd love to have you join my Patreon family. A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting the art community. Squarespace is the best platform to create a professional website and online shop. Their beautifully designed templates are easy to use for beginners and look great on both desktop and mobile. I've sold my art through Squarespace for almost 10 years, and I can attest to the quality of their online commerce features, whether you want to sell digital or physical items. They also provide useful analytics that help you make the most of your online business. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/happydartist to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Also, if you want to check out more artworks, works in progress, and just random daily artist adventures, feel free to check out my Instagram, and you can follow me at the handle @happydartist.